Hello, hello, salud. I am the Rasta Witch. Here's where we learn the way of the Yan Sui Rasta, which is to say, my kind of Ital. Please subscribe and begin your own kind of Yan Sui witchcraft. All roads lead to Rome. Home. Hello there, how you doing? Did I already say that? It's like 3 times now. Um, I decided to do a part B of my video proof and evidence of the existence of a soul, and just that's just like kind of like the big question of the age right now. Is that people want they want some kind of evidence for supernatural things, and they're not going to find it because it's not that kind of a thing. They've got it's kind of like, remember, you've heard someone, who was it? Someone great once said that sometimes the trick to things is knowing what questions to ask. That's not the right question to ask. So like I watch these documentaries about scientists and people trying to find evidence for the soul. They're studying the brain and everything, and they can reproduce spiritual experiences. They can reproduce hallucinations. They can reproduce these things using chemicals or touching that part of the brain or whatever it is they do. And people find that as evidence against the idea of supernatural things. But that's not what it's all about. So the question is, who are you? Wasn't that one of the scenes on The Lion King? He's all, no. The question is, who are you? That's the question. Who are you? Who am I? Who are you? Who are we? you know So there's an anesthesiologist that says, yeah, you notice that people go somewhere when they're under anesthesia, and then they come back after that. Where do they go? And not so much where do they go, but even better question, what's missing when they've left? Like what's missing? Is it their soul, or things like that? So the thing is in the Kabbalah we learn about number 9, Yesod, purple, the astral realm. And if it's like a better direction to go is not so much like that type of science and that type of evidence, but more along the lines of like Carl Jung, more like psychology and how the psyche, how the light of you works. So the problem is like at first, so that's why babies cry. Babies cry because they don't know they're separate from their mother. They don't know that we're all separate beings. So when they're hungry, they think it's a big deal to everybody. And they think that their mom is everyone's mom. It takes time before they realize that we we all have different moms and different languages, and like the more they learn, the more they realize how different everybody is. But those differences really are ego. They were right in the first place. We are all connected. We're all one. and in the perversion of learning all these things as you get older, what's happening is you're starting to think that life is a linear path going from birth to death. That you're the same person when you're born as you are when you're dead, and it just has gone through all this linear time. But really, that's not true. The part of you that is in question here is a spiral. There's no beginning or end. It's happening in the now. The eternal part of you is in the now. It's not the you of the past. It's not the you of the future. It's right now. And so life is not a linear path. So that's why everybody's like, they're like all past life experiences. Someone died and then came back. But the problem with people that die and then come back is it always matches their religion. You know, if they believe that there's a heaven and hell, then I mean, it's just like their supposed experiences, not that they aren't true, always matches the things that they believe. So that's because the astral realm is made out of our consciousness, and when we, I mean, okay, the key word here is your unconsciousness. Like tarot cards, people are all just your random cards, but tarot cards are just they're just pardon me, it's just a language and links with your subconscious. So you have a conscious self and you have a subconscious self, and tarot cards and pendulums and these magic things, cauldrons and scrying and these things, they're just you communicating, or really your subconscious communicating to you, or back and forth, but it's, maybe that's, so anyway, how to word things isn't important. You'll see what I mean. So when you dream, get a notebook and put it beside your bed when you dream, and you'll notice that like you'll have a dream, like a nightmare, and hurry up and Google it, and remember, the Yan Sui always needs to know everybody's opinion, and a variety of opinions. A scientist doesn't determine something based on one thing. You got to have between 3 and 4, maybe 10, or maybe even 100 different examples of the things that you need proved before you can really know that they're true. So what you do is when you have a dream, you write it down, because you're going to forget it, right? And because your dream is the subconscious, the astral realm is the realm of your dreams, okay? And then study, a whole bunch of people's opinions about how that dream is to be interpreted. Like once I had a dream with a snake, and some of the people's interpretations of what a snake were Christians, and they brought up the snake in the Bible. That Eve was tempted by a snake and Jesus was tempted by a snake, and so they go into that. See, but that's maybe that's not what a snake is with you. Again, when people die and have past life experiences, it always matches what they believe. So what you do is you analyze your dream, and you notice that it is made out of things you've been thinking about. If you've been worried to death about being sick, or worried to death about passing your test, let's say you're in college and you're thinking and you're studying and you're worried to death about passing this test and what grade you're going to get, and at the same time there's this guy that's cute that you like, or something like that, and also you had this really incredible donut. For some reason it was the best, most delicious donut you've ever had for dessert one day, and then you have a dream that and the guy, it's not the same guy that you think is cute, but he's somehow you can tell that he is that guy, but it doesn't look like him, and he's eating a donut, and he's looking at you, and he knows already whether you're going to pass the test or not, and you don't know, and then you find out that you got the test, and you get the results, and you look, and that guy isn't there anymore. See? So a dream has a meaning. It comes from your subconscious, but it's made out of, the things in the dream world are made out of things that you're thinking and feeling, and it's like when you think things, it's like it puts it in that realm, and there's all these like if you're going to paint, you need crayons. If you only have one color crayon, then it'll have to be that color. But if you start collecting crayons, then you have a bunch of different colors you can color your drawing with. I'm not from England. I'm just kidding. you're drawing with. I'm an American. But so that's what these things are made out of. So the thing is what your soul is. Your soul is your aura, your aura. I'm not sure. My mom's from Wyoming, so sometimes I think that I say really weird things because I kind of I'm not from anywhere and I absorb people's accents from things and stuff like that. How do you guys say that? Aura, Aura. That's what your soul is, and in cults like the Illuminati and the Rosicrucians and in occults like that, they have glasses that you can put on so you can see a person's aura. And then with more and more experience wearing those glasses, you don't need the glasses anymore because you've trained your brain how to see aura better, and then you can see aura better, and your aura is not always the same. Sometimes it's one color, and sometimes it's another color, and the colors mean different things. Like a really negative person might have like a black aura, and a really positive person might have a really light colored aura of some kind or something. I don't really know a lot about it, but that's more like it. So like when you study necromancy, how to resurrect spirits from the dead, you have to accumulate a bunch of things that are gonna pull that person into your experience. But when they come, not that I've ever done this, but Eliphaz Levi teaches that when you bring this person in, it it's the aura. So there's in the Kabbalah we know there's like the world of shells. There's like energy that's like kind of like when let's say I really like Ann Wilson of Heart. I think she's like the ultimate rocker and she's so cool. If Ann Wilson came in here and had a conversation with me in my own living room and then left, and when in 10 minutes was already outside of the town I live in and on the freeway like miles away, you know, I would still feel the energy of her in here. I might even still kind of be able to smell her if she wore perfume or something. I can still feel that energy. And maybe she sat in a chair, and maybe for a week, a month, I can still kind of feel her energy in that chair because I knew that's where she was sitting when we had that conversation. And my brain will keep replaying that moment. And I might even have a dream about her that's and all, so that she's left like this shell of her aura here that's an energy, and so as far as ghosts and spirits, sometimes a ghost is just an aura, like a shell aura left over of that person, and but it's not really that person. So the thing is that the proof that there's a soul is that's a dumb question. It doesn't matter, because the real question is how do I know that I have a subconscious? How how relevant is that to who I am, and how do I work with that? So like, is there a God? Well, it's more like there's your guardian angel and there's your inner dialogue and things like that. And they say, well, some people hear one voice in your head, some people hear no voice in their head, some people hear more than one voice in their head. So that's just kind of the difference between someone that's enlightened and someone that isn't. Someone that hears no voice in their head is someone that hasn't really done very much introspection or deep thought. They don't know themselves well enough to hear things like that. In Buddhism, we know about the seeing, the seen, and the seer. When you're talking to yourself, next time you're talking to yourself, notice that you're talking to someone, that you're talking, and you're talking to someone, and you're watching yourself talk to someone. You know, you're the seer, the thing that's seeing. You're the scene, you're the thing that's being seen, and you're the act of seeing at the same time. You're what's being seen, you're the act of seeing, and you're the thing that's being seen all at the same time. And each one of those things have a voice, you know. Um, and the proof of that is that when you talk to yourself, like, what do you call yourself? Do you call yourself you? Do you call yourself me or I? You know, uh, Sometimes you go back and forth and you're not sure what to do. Why is that? Sometimes I call myself both of us. I say, well, both of us know that we're hungry right now, so why don't we just eat? You know, just because it makes me laugh because it's funny. You know, um, So is there a God? Who is God? There's not a man in the sky. Who God is just the pureness of the idea. I'm going to go on a vacation next year, and you save up, and it ends up taking you 2 years, and you end up not going to Bahamas like you originally thought, but you end up going to Boston, Massachusetts, and you have a really good time. But you didn't realize at the time that where you really wanted to go is Boston. It just took time, and it all evolved into something different than your original thought. Who God is just your original thought across the abyss. Numbers 1, 2, and 3. Number 1 is neither big nor small, far nor near. It's just a point in time. Number 2, now there's still not really anything big or small, far nor near. Something's starting to happen. It isn't until you have 3 that you have 3 things to compare it to that you can say, hey, some things are bigger, some things are smaller, some things are closer, some things are further away. And then you start being able to define things. When you get to 4, now it's become, you've crossed the abyss, and now it's become something different. It's still part of an archetype, it's still an upper concept, it's still the ideal, but it's kind of become something different than the original thought. So these things so if is all that a ghost can ever be. Ghosts are our souls. They're our auras. When we die, our aura, there's more than one kind of aura. There's the aura of just our presence that someone else might experience, but 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 you might be somewhere else. The consciousness of you, there's some of your consciousness is in your aura, and it would do things and go places and such when you die. But it doesn't. But that's why the other auras are just like shells, because so what is a ghost? A ghost is just something that's still linked to this world. There's some link, this unfinished business, or this passion, or this link that's kept them into this world. Because really, you're supposed to move on after that. Um, Heaven and hell, we know heaven and hell doesn't exist. For one thing, the people that believe in heaven and hell claim that the Bible, or they claim that their book says there's a heaven and hell, and their book doesn't say there's a heaven and hell. It's just a perversion that they've embellished, and they've pulled out of their butts. It isn't even really a real teaching. Um, and for another thing that doesn't make sense, heaven and hell doesn't make sense. If there's a God, if there's such a thing as good and evil, and there's such a thing as a God and devil, if these concepts exist, then there can't be a heaven and hell, because that's just not logical. That a baby, just because they didn't accept Jesus, would suffer for time and all eternity in hell. And the Mormons say, well, that's in the spirit world. They would be taught and given a chance to accept it. And it's like, given a chance to accept it, that's just that's just not believable. That's too ridiculous. For one thing, you can't, like, the Mormons are baptizing themselves for everybody that lives, so that in the spirit world, and the people that missed their shot will be given another shot, and then they can have a baptism by proxy, but that's ridiculous, because there's no, it's not a realistic idea that we can remember the names of everybody that lived. Not everybody even had a name. I'm sure it's just like a ridiculous idea, and that we can find everybody that lived and have someone baptized in this. That's stupid. For the whole concept of baptism, it's just an initiation. There's many baptisms. Water baptism is just one concept of many baptisms. It's the hanged man card in the tarot deck. Mem, the Hebrew character mem, which corresponds to that card. So that's why I maintain my thing that I've been saying all along. I know these things are true because they work. Not because I know they're true in the sense of science, but because I don't, like the scientific mind, if you have a bunch of reason to believe something, then you believe it, until you have enough evidence to prove that it's not true. So if something works, then that's an evidence that it's true, not that it's true as in, like you might not know that it's true in the same way that you know something that has a bunch of scientific evidence has made something true, but just that you have, in a scientific way, you have reason to believe. For one thing, the elders have taught that it works and it matches your experiences. I used to see ghosts all the time at one point in my life. When I first was coming out of atheism and trying to decide what I believe, they must have been ancestors on my mom's side that are Mormon, because they cleared, like I would see them, they just like spirits that would be in the room. Sometimes there'd be more than one spirit in the room. They would get mad and try to scare me and try to manipulate me to believe Mormon things. That's how I could tell they're Mormon. And I've had Native American spirits mad at me before for I don't know. The best I could tell was for figuring things out about the natural world that they needed to believe that only Native Americans can figure out, or something like that. I don't know. I can't. But I went through this phase where there was spirits that were mad at me and trying to manipulate me to believe, and they eventually went away when they realized that I'm stubborn, and it, making me afraid isn't going to beat me into believing anything. I need to have the right reasons, and it needs to make sense to me before I believe it. But yeah, they would throw things off desks, and like there would be all kinds of things. I would also be bored, and a spirit would walk right past me, and I'd forget to be scared, and I go, "Whoa, that was a spirit that just walked by me. Where did it go?" I'll be, and I'll be, it's too late. Why can't you remember to be scared like everybody else? It just became so routine to me, and then they just went away. And so you say, well, those are just chemical things in your brain, and all this, and you've always had such an imagination. I've always had imaginary friends. I've always, I used to think that aliens watched me get ready in the morning because they wanted to learn how humans get ready in the morning. I say, well, now, because I lived in a basement, and everybody else in my family lived like 3 stories up, so I was always alone and in this dark basement all the time. And so when I'd get ready, I would talk out loud. Now humans brush their teeth, and now humans use stuff called shampoo, and they wash their hair. And I would teach what I believed were aliens how humans get ready in the morning, and things like that. I always had imaginary friends. I've always been a loner. I think loners do that. But it doesn't matter, because I found my mental health, and I'm mentally healthy and everything, and it's all just your subconscious, which surfaces or doesn't surface at different degrees. And you could say those weren't really ghosts. It doesn't matter. Maybe they were just parts of my subconscious that were relevant in some way, and then like seeing them as demons, and then banishing these demons out of my head. If it works, it works. The question is, does it work? And Do you have reason to believe something that works isn't true? No, you don't. So the atheists and people like that are always trying to say, you don't have evidence that supernatural things are true. And really, the opposite's true. There isn't any evidence that they're not true. Just saying that you don't have evidence isn't evidence that it's not true. I have evidence because I have personal experiences that make it true. And again, when people die that have past life experiences, it always matches the religion and the experiences and beliefs that they come from. Because again, it's the astral realm that's made out of things you think and feel and things like that. Because the details don't matter. It's not that kind of a thing that needs to be proven. Like I have a finger. Well, yeah, science could prove I have a finger. I do literally have a finger. This is a clock, and you could prove there is a clock right there. It's not that kind of a thing. The question is, does it work? And if it does work, isn't that an evidence that it works? So therefore, you should keep doing it. Just because you can't find physical evidence for it doesn't mean, and until there is physical evidence to prove that it doesn't work. See? I mean, all the times I've done tarot cards, all the thousands and thousands of personal experiences that astrology is real and that tarot cards are real, and all these thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of examples that these things are true that I've accumulated at my ripe old age. That's why you gotta have respect for elders. That's evidence.